Israel had given enough hints over the last 2 days that it had probably got much more than what it had asked for in terms of a beating. Because initially it thought Iran would be a walkover, it would just go in, smash it, and that would be the end of it. But Iran, it seems, has given it quite a few blows. The world did not have any idea, or very little idea, about how Iran was able to cope up with this attack on it and how it was responding to it. Because from the Israel side, for the first few days, it seemed as if Israel was not hurt at all, and it was Israel which was dominating the entire show. Loser are quite clearly the people of both Israel and Iran, because they have suffered a lot. They have suffered for no reason at all. And they'll be counting their losses much after the ceasefire has come into real effect. That the age of the real leaders of the world in terms of the peace prize is far past us. Otherwise, Malala Yousafzai should not have got the peace prize for just taking a bullet. There are many other girls who have taken bullets in that part of the world. There are many other men who have done much more in terms of sacrifice. There are also reports of that very brave lady in Balochistan who's leading this campaign on behalf of the Baloch people. So why shouldn't the Nobel Peace Prize go to someone like her? But then there are wheels within wheels, and what emerges out of those wheels within wheels could be someone like Trump.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. The anxiety behind the 12 days Iran-Israel war has come to an end because Donald Trump announced a ceasefire, just like what he announced when the Pakistan and India conflict was on. And what we are told right now is that Israel and Iran accepted a ceasefire plan proposed by President Donald Trump to end their 12-day war that roiled the Middle East after Tehran launched a retaliatory limited missile attack on US military base in Qatar. But there were also reports in the morning that apparently Iran has said that they will not back down until Israel stops attacking Iran. That was the condition. And as the things unfold, what Donald Trump had said that this ceasefire will come in a phased manner with effect from now until few hours. So will there be a total ceasefire, or it's going to be called a partial ceasefire? If at all a ceasefire has taken place, there are three players: US, Iran, and Israel. Is it a win-win situation for all because they have something to go back with as far as their political constituency is concerned? But what about the stability in Middle East? How is it going to pan out now? Because there were several reports, and Donald Trump himself talked about a regime change. What is really going to happen in Iran? All these are questions. And then plus there are questions about the military dominance of Israel. There are reports of how Iran tried to overpower Israel. There are reports of how US tried to attack the three nuclear sites, and then again the US airbase in Qatar was attacked by Iran. So all these are points on which one can juxtapose this 12 days old anxious moments which the Middle East had to face, and because of which the entire world was glued to this conflict. So how does one read this ceasefire coming as it does from Donald Trump again? Joining me this evening is former Ambassador Rajiv Dogra. Mr. Dogra, thank you so much for joining on HW News Network. And my first question, sir, to you is that is the announcement coming by Donald Trump on the ceasefire between Iran and Israel, does it come as a surprise, or we were expecting this?
Well, Israel was hoping for it. Trump was expecting it because he's very keen on getting his Nobel Peace Prize. So, if he's able to restore from war situation towards peace in this particular episode, then he thinks his chances of getting that Peace Prize increase by that much. So, he's single minded on that objective. As far as expectation is concerned, Israel had given enough hints over the last 2 days that it had probably got much more than what it had asked for in terms of a beating. Because initially it thought Iran would be a walkover, it would just go in, smash it, and that would be the end of it. But Iran, it seems, has given it quite a few blows, and especially in the civilian areas where the Israeli population has started asking, why did Israel go in for this war at all?
But what about Iran's obstinacy? Will we say that Iran is still obstinate when it says that we will not stop? There is no agreement of the ceasefire, because we heard Iran's finance minister, Mr. Arakchi, saying that there is no agreement on the ceasefire yet. So, how does one read Iran's positioning at the moment?
Well, there's a lot of drama that has gone on in this war. For example, right from the beginning, the world did not have any idea or very little idea about how Iran was able to cope up with this attack on it and how it was responding to it. Because from the Israel side, for the first few days, it seemed as if Israel was not hurt at all, and it was Israel which was dominating the entire show. Now, coming back to your question as to Iran's intentions, well, Iran also has its domestic lobby to cater for and to satisfy, because Iran has suffered a lot of damage. And there were also reports that some sections of Iran were also hoping for a regime change, because Iran is a controlled society, and naturally there will be elements in it who are disgruntled, who are unhappy with the way last few decades have gone for them. So it's a complex situation with a lot of ups and downs in the drama, but the drama, as you hinted at, has not ended. And in a situation like this, it all it needs is one more spark for things to be as they were, which means another round of fighting. But let's hope that doesn't happen.
So, what do you feel, sir, that in this war, in every war, there is a winner, there is a loser. But who would you say is the winner? Who would you say is the loser in this battle?
Loser are quite clearly the people of both Israel and Iran, because they have suffered a lot. They have suffered for no reason at all. And they'll be counting their losses much after the ceasefire has come into effect, come into real effect. Uh, many of them have lost their loved ones, many of them have lost all their property, and many of them have been hurt, injured in the various attacks. So they are not going to be gainer in any way at all. The gainer is very hard to sort of list out. Perhaps the only gainer would be, as I said earlier, if Trump gets a Nobel Peace Prize, he'll be the biggest gainer. But for what purpose? And with what objective? So it'll be a hollow victory if Trump does get the Nobel Peace Prize. But there is
Do
no
you
other
feel that
gainer.
there are chances? Do you feel that there are chances that Trump still could get a Nobel Peace Prize? Is that what he's gunning for?
Well, unfortunately, it seems that there are not many people around the world who really qualify for a Nobel Prize. Not just the Peace Prize, but also all the other prizes that go with it: literature, science, physics, chemistry, and so on. Uh, the unfortunate fact is that the age of the real leaders of the world in terms of the peace prize is far past us. Otherwise, Malala Yousafzai should not have got the peace prize for just taking a bullet. There are many other girls who have taken bullets in that part of the world. There are many other men who have done much more uh, in terms of sacrifice. There are also reports of that very brave lady in Balochistan who's leading this campaign on behalf of the Baloch people. So why shouldn't the Nobel Peace Prize go to someone like her? But then there are wheels within wheels, and what emerges out of those wheels within wheels could be someone like Trump.
How do you see the geopolitics in Middle East unfolding now? And there are reports that the Prime Minister of Qatar played an important role as far as getting this ceasefire agreement done. There were also reports that J.D. Vance, Steve Witkoff, and all these people, they were trying to make phone calls. Then Donald Trump also spoke to the Emir of Qatar, and that's when this call on the ceasefire was taken. So, what do you think could be the terms and references as far as the ceasefire agreement is concerned? Nobody knows what concessions have been given, or what is the kind of surrender which has taken place from any country's end. How would we come to know what is the reality behind the ceasefire?
Well, I'm glad you used the term geopolitics, and in fact, I'll expand on it a little more, and I'll also include geoeconomics, because geopolitics was what started the war in the hope that they would be able to dominate Iran and thereafter dominate the entire area around it, meaning the Gulf as well. And that was the intention, which was made quite clear by the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. He had hoped that he will become the sort of a hegemon of the entire region once he settled the Iran issue. That has not happened. So, as far as geopolitics is concerned, it has not changed for the better. It has not changed in the way Israel wanted. It has not changed in the way America may have wanted. Uh, in fact, it has destabilized the region because even if there is a ceasefire, it does not mean that things have become normal, that the threat or the possibility of one more attack happening from somewhere has gone away. That has not happened. As far as geoeconomics is concerned, Gulf was one of the more stable regions in Asia. There was hardly any threat of war. Trade was going on as usual. Oil was bringing in a lot of petrodollars all over the place, and tourism also to some extent in Dubai and so on. All that has come under question mark. Who could have imagined, after the second Gulf War involving Iraq, that once again this region would be in a situation where flights would have to be diverted, where ships would have to be very careful in negotiating the Straits of Hormuz and so on. So both geopolitics and geoeconomics have been given a sort of a stirring. How that settles remains to be seen. But once you unsettle a region, once you unsettle anything, to join those blocks back is never very easy.
Right. So, but what about Iran? Because where we were seeing that there was a regime change, how is Khamenei now going to respond? Because there were also reports that he had picked on his successors, and he did think that probably he might be attacked. So his legacy, how it's going to be carried forward, Iran should be ready for that. And they had already made preparations. There were reports, and Iran is also bruised in a way. Like, for example, I was reading yesterday that this clock tower in Tehran, which had that doomsday clock, that was also attacked. And that doomsday had the prophecy of Khamenei, where it said that Israel will lose its existence by 2040. Now, if that is the kind of symbolic demolition of Iran which we have seen, what is actually left of Iran, according to you? Is there any sinews? Is there any muscle left now in Iran?
Well, there is no doubt that Iran has been given a huge bruising and a beating in terms of its top leadership, both in the army and in the scientific community and in the political world. Khamenei naming his successors, three of them, stood to reason because there was a real threat on his life. But to say that Iran has been given a blow from which it will not recover or never recover, I think is not correct. In fact, Iran's biggest strength is its civilization. Whatever may be the composition of its political class at the moment, that does not take away from the fact that they are a highly gifted people. They are known for their intellect, and that is why they had all those ballistic missiles and all the advantages in terms of science and technology, despite sanctions which have been going on for nearly 40 years on them. So Iran will recover. I have no doubt on that. Iran will be back on its feet. I have no doubt about that. It may take time, but Iran is going to be yet another force once again to be reckoned with.
So, what are we going to expect now? That there are also reports I'm reading that there were apparently strikes which have happened even after the ceasefire's announcement. So, do you see? I mean, how long will it take for a total ceasefire to take place? I mean, is it going to be a prolonged one, or it will be in place soon?
Well, the term which was used exactly was staggered ceasefire, which is a little surprising because if you want to have ceasefire, it should come into effect, let's say, as in case of India and Pakistan, at a definite time frame. And after that, no bullet or rockets should fly. That has not happened because there were reports that Israel still
Allow
sent.
me to, sir, allow me to interrupt you for 2 seconds because because you said that there should be no attacks if the announcement of the ceasefire has taken place, but there are reports, and I'm just reading out on what has come on HT and several other websites, that major explosions were heard in Iraq's capital city of Baghdad early Tuesday, minutes after US President Donald Trump announced a tentative ceasefire between Israel and Iran. An Iraqi military official said that an unidentified drone had targeted Camp Taji, a military installation located to the north of Baghdad, adding that there were no casualties, the state news agency has reported. And this drone apparently hit a radar system at the military base, leading to a material damage. That's what a security official has confirmed. And there are, of course, videos circulating on the social media of this military base on fire. So, what would you really say? Are there still no signs of abating? And are we going to see this sequence continuing?
So, as I said earlier, that staggered ceasefire does not make much sense because I had also quoted to you the example of India-Pakistan, that you have a definite time when ceasefire comes into effect and after which bullets should not fly. If you have a staggered ceasefire, then there is no definite time. Even if it is a staggered ceasefire, there can be a time frame to it. That was not the case, at least not publicly stated. So Israel sent in some missiles towards Iran, even after the announcement by Trump. And if Tehran shot back some at some site or the other, as you said in Iraq, then it is just a response. So there is a flaw in terms of that announcement, and hopefully that has been rectified at least among the three of them, if not publicly.
But nobody thought that, this, I mean, everybody was working for a ceasefire, but the sudden announcement by Donald Trump, many feel that, he was forced to announce this ceasefire because he was looking at the popularity charge chart in which Trump's rating was declining. And why I'm saying this is that if you look at what CNN is reporting, according to a CNN poll conducted by SSRS after the strikes, Americans disapprove of the strikes 56% to 44%, according to the survey, with strong disapproval outpacing the share who strongly approve. So, did he see this, that his popularity rating in his own political constituency was declining, and which is why he thought that now is the time to announce a ceasefire?
Well, there could be a number of reasons for it, and Trump by himself could not have gotten the ceasefire unless Israel and Iran were also interested. The second thing is that Trump has, from day one of his second term, been trying to turn the world upside down. And there is naturally going to be reaction both from within his country and without from the world, because they are wondering what are they in for during the next 3.5 years that he's there. Tariffs have bewildered everyone. No one knows whether it is 120% one day and 2% the next day. He makes demands which are impossible to meet. For example, now he wants NATO countries to increase their defense expenditure to 5%. Japan has already reacted to that. And perhaps today, as NATO countries meet, maybe the European countries may have ideas of their own. So Trump by himself could not have brought in the ceasefire, even if his popularity ratings were declining, which is a fact also. What led to this is a series of feints, I would say. For example, there are reports that the American attack on the 3 nuclear sites were not really attacks on them, but only a sort of a show to the world that America could attack. What is the reality? Only time will tell. But the fact is that if you give notice to the other side, then they are going to remove all the incriminating material or all the material which would have brought them some risk of radiation. So that by itself was a hint that America was looking for a way out of the mess that Trump had got them into. The second is, as I said earlier, Israel and Israeli population had begun to ask questions of its leadership. That what have you got out of it? This was an unnecessary war. As it is, we were bogged down in Gaza, where the spirit of the people of Gaza is not down. They may be down and out, but the spirit is still there. So this additional one is going to cause more trouble for Israel in times to come.
We are talking about these 3 players, Donald Trump, Israel, and Iran. But one must also talk about the geopolitical stand which India has taken. And the kind of stand which India has taken, was it right? Was it wrong? The jury may still be out on that. But was this not an occasion where India could have done much more than what it actually did?
Well, that question will always be there. Why can't India do more, or why can't India do this or that? But there are also certain issues and certain moves that are done behind the scenes and because of certain reasons which go back in history. Israel, for example, has stood by India's side, whether it was Kargil or Balakot or in any other time of need. So there is that linkage. As far as Iran is concerned, we have historical civilizational links with Iran. And one proof of that is Iran making way to make sure that its airspace is open for Indian flights, which was to bring back Indian students stuck there. That was a special gesture, and special gesture in recognition of this relationship. And India also has made a gesture behind the scenes, sotto voce, so to speak, by speaking softly, not speaking publicly, but speaking on behalf of Iran and advocating peace, as in fact Prime Minister did during his conversation with the President of Iran.
All right. So many people do criticize India to be openly supporting only and only Israel. Why Israel? And India did have very old and cultural ties with Iran. It seems all that has lost. Prime Minister Modi did talk to Iran on the phone, but somehow, there is it looks as if there is an all out and an overt support for Israel. And the country is so much tilted, our foreign policy has got so much tilted towards Israel, that how do you cater to Iran has now become a tough question in India.
As I said earlier, that no one can say that India took a line which was against Iran. India has not said or done anything which would have hurt Iran in the present crisis. No one can also say that India went out of its way to sort of make Israel's attack on Iran any easier or facilitate Israel's attack on Iran. India has done none of that. The public optics or the public reaction sometimes is instant and knee-jerk. That is not how diplomacy plays out. Sometimes messages are sent to both sides of a conflict or a crisis where the real position comes through. And I think in this case also, Iran realizes that India is their friend. India respects the civilizational links, and India has done nothing which goes against Iran's interests.
But do you see the stability coming in Middle East now that the Iranian parliament had already decided on closing the Strait of Hormuz, and a lot of it was being spoken about, though they did not implement, and now the ceasefire has come. But what about the stability factor? How stable after this ceasefire will Middle East be? Are we going to still expect skirmishes like these? What will really happen? I'm really interested in knowing about the stability, how stable Middle East will be.
Well, firstly, as far as Strait of Hormuz is concerned, what Iranian parliament had done was to pass a resolution saying that we would like the Strait of Hormuz to be closed. But they left the decision to their Security Council.
Security Council, yes.
And it was a deliberate move because Iranian parliament is not a strategic expert. The strategic experts are sitting in the Security Council, and they would weigh the pros and cons of this move. And the cons of this move are that even if it wanted, Iranian Navy would have had a very difficult time blockading the Strait of Hormuz, meaning that if an aircraft carrier from America wanted to cross over, Iranian Navy would be able to stop it. That is very difficult to achieve. But what could have been achieved was hit and run tactics, attacking oil tankers and so on. But that has not come to pass because before that ceasefire has been announced. The second thing is the stability that you mentioned. So long as there is tension in the air, you cannot say the situation is stable. So till there is confidence within the Gulf, till there is confidence about Israel's intentions, till there is confidence about Israel-Iran relationship, till there is confidence about America's role in the region, stability cannot be said to have come back to it in totality.
So my last question, sir, to you is that how would you really decode this announcement of the ceasefire by Donald Trump in terms of Iran and Israel war towards the end?
Donald Trump is an unpredictable leader. So decoding him would be very difficult. One can only hope that his next moves or next series of moves do not lead to more surprises in the region, and that people of the region, especially those of Iran and Israel, are able to live their lives in peace and comfort.
But, sir, Mr. Dogra, do you also see this as some kind of a strategy of Donald Trump, how he's trying to position himself in the world? He was voted on the promise that he will not push the nations towards conflict. He will not push the world towards a World War III like situation. So, what is really happening is that already the war-torn nations, they are fighting amongst themselves. So, the conflicts are getting exacerbated. He speeds up the conflicts to a certain point and then brings about a ceasefire. Does this look like a smart diplomatic move for Donald Trump to position himself very well in the world and also prove back to his political constituency that, look, this is what I'm capable of?
Well, firstly, Trump does not care for what you and I and the rest of the world thinks. Uh, Trump only cares for what the mirror tells him. And the mirror tells him that he is the greatest in the world, and that there is no one ever in history who has been as wise and as decisive as him. So no one can shake him out of that delusion or illusion, howsoever you might term it. And he does not care for temporary fall in the ratings, approval ratings, because he's quite convinced that his next move will bump up the ratings again. And there's a particular constituency in America which is a blind follower of Trump. So they are not going to be shaken in the belief that Trump is the medicine for all their ills. So we have to bear with Trump for, as I said, the next 3.5 years, and hope that there are not too many shocks.
True. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining on HW. Thank you.
Thank you.